So let's go back to eugenics.
Okay.
Right? Where I talked about how from the very beginning the framing is off about who we are as a people. One of the ADOS leaders was on the board of Progressives for Immigration Reform. Progressives for Immigration Reform is a fake progressive organization. It's not a real progressive organization. It touts being progressive while not being progressive. It actually advocates for a lot of anti-immigrant sentiments, and most of this anti-immigrant sentiments is not directed towards any white immigrants, but conveniently black and brown immigrants. Why so? Well, because it's a part of what we call the Tanton Network. There was a man named John Tanton, I believe he recently died last year, who was a known white supremacist and a eugenicist.
Okay.
And he had this bright idea to create or support this network of organizations that on the face look very progressive.
But behind
the scenes, and if you really look at what they're advocating for, are very not progressive and very anti-black and brown people. And so one of the ADOS leaders was on the board, doesn't deny being on the board, but then tries to circumvent and go around the various reasons for being on it. At the end of the day, she was on a board that was supported by a white supremacist and a person that supports eugenics, all because he wants to limit the amount of black and brown immigrants that come to America and wants to thereby curb the growth of the black and brown population in America. If you look at what's happening now, the Trump administration is doing everything in its power to stop black and brown immigrants from coming into America. Why? The excuse is they're taking resources. We know that that's not true because we can't pay for public school, but we can get $1 trillion for war overnight.
Yes. And just a few days ago, he put a ban on Nigerians.
Exactly. So what has happened is people that have been doing the research and data, they predicted that by 2045 America would be a majority minority country, which would mean that whites would still make up a huge chunk. They would be like the largest one set group, right? But they wouldn't be the entire population. They wouldn't be the main. The population would mostly consist of black and brown people. Why? Because when it comes to the birth rate, the white native birth rate is down, so is the black native birth rate. But when we get these immigrants, the birth rate comes back up, and it keeps coming up with the black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean having more children, and then those children coming in, growing up, becoming second, third generation, making more babies with the native African Americans that are already here. This is an ongoing thing, and they have been afraid of it. There are actual articles now about how what the Trump administration is doing, all of its different things to stop and stave off black and brown immigration, is actually going to slow down the browning of America by another 5 years. They're trying to buy as much time as possible. And what ADOS does is inadvertently buy into that by repeating those same claims that white racists make when they say, look at those immigrants, they're coming and they're taking everything. Look at those, if we could just get a limit on on African immigrants from this type of a visa, then we could get more black jobs. That is so naive, because we know that's not how America works when it comes to jobs and homes and economics and everything like that. It isn't the immigrants that are putting us in this position. It is the systems that are putting us in these positions, these white supremacist systems. And ADOS spends more time, if you look at their leadership, attacking black immigrants. That does not help us at all with reparations.
Or attacking other black people.
Other black people that don't buy into it, because what they want to do is create an echo chamber where you're so afraid to speak out against them that it allows them to continue to build momentum and get more followers. Any black person that speaks out against them becomes a target.